So there was a time before I got sick where I was working out. Actually, I was about to work out, and I decided I need to use the bathroom first because I was still pregnant. I pee a lot, and I decided to use the hallway bathroom. And as I was walking towards the hallway bathroom, um, at first I didn't notice it, like I didn't pay any attention to it, but there was an enormous shadow, dark mass, completely featureless. It was like a shadow, but darker than a shadow. People who've seen shadow people know exactly what I'm talking about. But it was just standing in front of the study doorway, and I didn't notice it at all until it just quickly ran into the door and like into the to the study as I was walking towards the bathroom, and I just froze. I was like, "What did I just see? What I just thought I saw?" Um, so obviously I went to go investigate. There was nothing in the study. Um, so like I didn't really think much about it until the next day, and I was thinking, well maybe it was like a two light source type of shadow thing because I know I had the living room light on because I was about to do my workout, and I'm normally really good with turning off the rest of the lights. Like even right now, I only have this lamp on, and then I have the window open, and that's all of the lights in the house right now. So I was thinking, even though I'm really good with making sure that the lights are off in the house, that I'm not using to conserve electricity because lights aren't cheap. Um, I might have had the kitchen light on. So it was during the same time of day that I decided to try to debunk this. I had the living room light on and I had the kitchen light on, and I immediately realized that that was not what I saw. There was not a two-way shadow going on. Because my shadow was obviously my height. It was a lot lighter. Like the light from the second light was still going through the second shadow, and therefore it was not very dark, and it moved in correlation to my movement towards the bathroom. What I had saw was about 7 feet tall. Like it literally like took up the entire space of the hallway all the way up to the ceiling. It was dark, dark black. Like if the hallway was black, it would be blacker than the hallway. It was pitch black, and it had no features, but I knew it was looking at me, and it moved in a completely different direction than where I was going, and obviously into the study where it disappeared. Um, and it was a couple of days after I saw that I got sick. So what had happened with that was I woke up one morning and I think I had to go to work very early in the morning. I don't think I was in the bakery because that'd be 4 o'clock. So I think it was just like opening or something. It was opening. So I had to open up the store, which is at 7. So I woke up around 6. I didn't feel sick, but I felt like there was something wrong. I'm not really gonna go into detail because it's like TMI for people who haven't been pregnant. Um, so I went to use the bathroom and I was bleeding. Like period. Like, oh Jesus, what's wrong with me type of bleeding. And yeah, it's kind of common to bleed when you're pregnant, but not when you're that late in the pregnancy. I was about 29 weeks at that point, and it's more common for you to do that within the first 12 weeks, the first trimester at the very least. It's pretty common. But even not even to that degree of the amount that I was bleeding, and I knew there was something wrong, and I was freaking out because I thought I was losing my baby. I wasn't sure if I was going into labor or anything like that. I wasn't hurting at that point, at least not yet. It was just the bleeding. So we went to the hospital, and they're like, "Yeah, you're bleeding," and I'm like, "Well, no shit. I realized that." Um, they hooked me up to the monitors, the heart monitor for her, and then the contraction monitor to see if I was going into labor. I don't. They didn't really tell me anything the first time around, but they said that she looked good. There was nothing wrong with her that they could find, and that there was either very little to no contractions on the monitor. And this was before I learned how to read the monitor. Um, so they just sent me home and told me to be careful, just take it easy, and if things got worse, to come back in. So that entire week, I bled. And like sometimes it would lighten up, and then other times it got really, really heavy. And during those times, like the cramping got really bad, and they were not Braxton Hicks contractions. They were like, I started to have real contractions. And I knew I was going into preterm labor. At least I was very symptomatic to preterm labor, just completely out of nowhere. Um, that's my necklace, honey. So the day that I came back from the hospital, David was actually supposed to go out of state to visit with his family. I was not going to go with him because of work and because of my pregnancy. I was so far along, and I was cool with him going. I could take care of myself. But he felt really bad. He decided not to go. So instead, he had his friend come over for the weekend, and I was cool with that. And when his friend comes over, he stays in the guest room, which is in the hallway. Well, in the hallway. So I asked him, well, you've been here and stayed with us several nights now, and you always stay in that back hallway. Have you ever experienced anything weird? Because I was thinking about the shadow person at this time. And he goes, well, I've never experienced anything in your house until just last night. No, oh, good. Do tell. And he said that while he was laying in bed in the dark, I don't know if he was talking to his girlfriend or if he was watching a movie or something, but he was on his phone, so the phone was the only light source in the room at the time. And he had a cold, so he had cough drops in his backpack, which was on the ground. And he started to hear something rustling around in his backpack. And his first thought, of course, was, oh, mouse or rat or big enormous cockroach. I'm going to be a nice friend. I'm going to kill this thing for them. So he shines his light onto his backpack, which is open, and he can see that there's something clearly inside the backpack rustling around in there, and he can see something moving his cough drops out of his backpack. So he gets up, turns on the light, and like looks into it, and the backpack is still moving with the actual light on. He sees that there's something still in the backpack. Okay, guys, something's still in the backpack. It is still moving, and he's walking to it. He picks it up. The second he touches it, it stops moving. And so I don't know what it was, but something was moving the backpack until he touched it. Like nothing was able to run out of the backpack. He would have seen it, I don't know what it was. I thought it was strange. I've never personally experienced anything like that. So that happened, and then throughout the next 2 weeks, while I was sick and I was getting worse, I went to the doctors 2 more times, and um, each time, like I was worse. Like, oh, I can see that you're starting to have contractions. We don't know what's causing your bleeding. They never put me on bed rest though, even though I was bleeding and I was getting worse and I was starting to have really bad contractions. It was debilitating. I could barely work anymore. When I did go to work, I sat down. Like if I was at the register, I sat down. I didn't give a shit. The people would let me sit down because they knew there was something wrong with me. And if I was working in the bakery, I sat down. I didn't. This is all I could do. I mean, this is how I had to work. I had to work, but I was too sick to work at the same time. Um, I lost my train of thought. Hi. You don't help with my train of thought either. So, while that was going on, the activity in the house picked up like crazy. It was like all the same stuff. It was like lots of noise and footsteps. There was a time where I was getting ready for work in the morning. I was putting on my makeup, and I heard the noise, something walking around in the kitchen, and I guess it turned the corner, and all I heard was, and I looked up, and obviously there was nothing there, and it was like I scared or I startled whatever was came around the corner and saw me. And that was the strangest thing. I've never had anything like that happen before either. And then there was another time where I heard a screaming in the back hallway, and I've had this happen before, and it terrified me the first time. and it happened again. I don't really remember what time. I just know that it did happen. But I knew what it was this time, so I was freaked out. But I ignored it to the best of my ability, and so that was that.